Breaking: Muslim terrorist just ambushed soldiers in city suburb after seeing what they were doing. As summer is winding down and people are beginning to go back to their routines, terrorists seem to be doing the same as we've now seen overnight. It's been quiet on the jihad front for a few weeks. It doesn't take much to set them off based on what just happened to 6 soldiers in a city suburb, and now the entire nation needs to be on high alert. Using their preferred method of death and destruction, the terrorist, driving a pricey BMW, hit the gas and plowed into a crowd full of uniformed soldiers. Although he hoped to take them all out at once, he quickly learned that he's not as tough as half a dozen fighters, even if they're injured. The once beautiful city known for art and romance, Paris, France, has now become synonymous with terrorism as a constant target of attack in just the last year. This is the inevitable result of flooding an area with Muslim refugees. Although the allegedly humanitarian move of allowing these transplants into the country is said to help rescue families from war-torn areas, the crowd of refugees consists of very few women and children but is thick with military-aged Muslim men. There's a reason for this, and we're seeing it in one attack after another, including this ambush on 6 French soldiers within the last few hours. Fox News reports. The suspected driver who rammed a vehicle into a crowd of soldiers, injuring 6 of them, in a Paris suburb was arrested Wednesday after he was wounded during a brief standoff with police, French officials said. The driver of a BMW was wounded in a gunfight on a highway north of Paris, a judicial official said. Shots were fired when the arrest turned violent. The man was stopped as police were hunting for the vehicle that was involved in an attack French police believe may have had a terror motive. The condition of the man, who was not immediately identified, is unknown at this time. He was arrested hours after a driver rammed a car into a crowd of soldiers, leaving at least 3 of the 6 hit with serious injuries, though they were believed to be non-life-threatening. 2 French officials told the Associated Press it was too early to say for certain the man was the driver. It seems that France handles terrorists much different than America, which may be part of their ongoing problem. This jihadist was caught in a gunfight with authorities after attempting a deadly attack on 6 and lived to talk about it. His crime was already committed in broad daylight and tried to kill cops who were apprehending him for it, yet, he still wasn't mortally wounded for it. It's an improvement that officers in Paris were armed in this case, since in past attacks in this city, they were forced to run for their lives rather than stay and fight the threat. However, they still didn't eliminate this one since he's still living. Perhaps the purpose is to pull information out of him to root out the terrorist cell he potentially came from, but terrorists don't talk. Fox News continues. Authorities have opened an investigation into the incident, which they believe had a terrorist motive. Paris prosecutor's office said it aimed at pursuing the perpetrators on charges of attempted murder of security forces in connection with a terrorist enterprise. Defense Minister Florence Parly condemned the attack, calling it a cowardly act with the utmost firmness. The service members were part of Operation Sentinel, an anti-terrorism operation that was created after the 2015 Charlie Hebdo massacre in Paris. The mission's aim is to protect civilians. Colomb said Wednesday's car attack marks the 6th time soldiers with the Sentinel operation have been targeted. France has been under a state of emergency since November 2015, when several Islamist gunmen opened fire in Paris, leaving 130 people dead in a series of coordinated attacks. Multiculturalism is not working out in Europe the way European leaders fantasize that it would, and tried to convince citizens of this. Apologists will soon be shouting that this was a single act of a mentally ill man acting alone. However, there's never a lone terrorist, since there are several thousand others providing moral and monetary support while pushing him to commit these atrocities for Allah and Islam.